My dear brothers and sisters, Gefete bretons, an thy pistors, an my loseth crito, an vethem thing such, my dear brothers and sisters, an pulp and bedding quintil pasiven, quotes recon besignated. Cursed brothers and sisters, an beneficial slaves, horchilfa tepodas, an pine verdals word nobusas. Today we gather with hearts lifted toward heaven, holding on to a hope that transcends circumstances. The title before us, Pray for Peace That the World Cannot Take Away, carries a message that is both timeless and urgent. In a world filled with unrest, conflict, and uncertainty, peace often feels fragile. Nations rise against nations, families are torn apart, hearts grow weary, and the noise of chaos surrounds us. The kind of peace the world offers is temporary and easily shaken, but the peace that comes from God is eternal, unshakable, and beyond human understanding. When we talk about praying for peace, we are not merely asking for the absence of trouble or the silencing of wars. True peace is not just the quiet after the storm, it is the calm within the storm. It is that stillness of heart which cannot be stolen by fear, anxiety, or doubt. It is the peace that Jesus promised when he said, "My peace I give you, not as the world gives." This peace is a divine gift, a spiritual anchor, and it flows from trusting God in every season of life. This is why prayer is so important. Prayer is the pathway that connects us to the source of perfect peace. It lifts our hearts above earthly troubles and fixes our eyes on the one who rules over heaven and earth. Through prayer, we surrender our burdens and receive strength for our souls. We may not be able to control the storms outside, but through prayer, we can find serenity inside. Prayer transforms us, giving us the courage to walk in faith even when the world trembles. But we must also remember that peace is not just something we ask for, it is something we practice. When we pray for peace, we must also live as peacemakers, showing kindness, offering forgiveness, and spreading love wherever we go. In a world full of division, our actions can be an answer to our own prayers. The peace we pray for must first take root in our hearts before it can reach our homes, our communities, and eventually the world. So let us continue to pray not only for peace in our own lives, but also for peace in the hearts of leaders, families, and nations. Let us ask God to heal broken spirits, to replace hatred with love, and to shine His light in the darkest corners of this world. And as we pray, let us hold tightly to the promise that the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard our hearts and minds. My friends, the world may offer temporary comfort, but only God gives lasting peace. This is the peace that no war, no hardship, no loss, and no power on earth can ever take away. May our prayers rise like incense before God, and may His unshakable peace reign in us, through us, and around us forever. 1. True peace is not the absence of trouble, but the calm within the storm. 2. The world offers temporary peace, but God gives eternal and unshakable peace. 3. Prayer is the pathway that connects us to the source of perfect peace. 4. Through prayer, we surrender burdens and receive strength for our souls. 5. Peace must be practiced by living as peacemakers in daily life. 6. Our actions can become an answer to our own prayers for peace. 7. God's peace is a divine gift that no power on earth can take away. True peace is not simply the absence of trouble or the quiet after conflict, but rather the calm that resides deep within the heart, even when storms rage around us. Many people believe that peace comes only when problems disappear, when life is free from difficulties, or when everything goes according to plan. But real peace is not dependent on external conditions. It is an inner strength and assurance that allows us to remain steady when life feels uncertain. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The winds may be strong and the rain may pour, Yet inside your heart, there is a stillness that cannot be shaken. That is true peace. It comes not from the world, but from God, who provides security that circumstances cannot take away. Troubles may rise, challenges may come, but the one who holds on to God's promises can experience peace that surpasses all understanding. This kind of peace is like an anchor for the soul, keeping us grounded no matter how fierce the storms of life become. It teaches us to walk with faith, knowing that even in chaos, God's presence is with us, calming our hearts from within. The peace that the world offers often comes with conditions and is easily broken. It may be found in moments of success, comfort, or temporary happiness, but as soon as trials appear, that peace fades away. Worldly peace depends on circumstances being favorable, and when those circumstances change, fear, worry, and restlessness quickly return. In contrast, the peace that God gives is eternal and unshakable. It is not rooted in material possessions, human achievements, or outward security, but in the unchanging nature of God Himself. His peace does not fade with time, nor is it threatened by the storms of life. When we receive this divine peace, it becomes a shield to our hearts and minds, guarding us against anxiety and despair. It carries us through uncertainty, giving us confidence that God is in control. This kind of peace cannot be purchased, earned, or taken away by anyone or anything in the world. It flows from God's promise and His presence dwelling within us. Even when everything around us feels unstable, God's peace provides stability and comfort. It reassures us that no matter what we face, His peace will remain constant and everlasting. Prayer is the sacred connection that draws us closer to the heart of God and opens the door to His perfect peace. When life overwhelms us with noise, struggles, and confusion, prayer becomes the still place where we can rest and realign our hearts. It is not simply a ritual or a routine, but a lifeline that allows us to pour out our burdens and receive the comfort only God can give. Through prayer, we are reminded that we are never alone, that there is a higher power guiding us even when the path ahead seems uncertain. Prayer brings us into God's presence, and in His presence, peace flows naturally. It replaces fear with faith, anxiety with assurance, and doubt with trust. This peace does not depend on what is happening around us, but comes from knowing that God is in control of everything concerning us. Every time we kneel, whisper, or even silently lift our hearts in prayer, we create space for His calmness to settle over us. In this way, prayer is not only a conversation with God, but also the channel through which His peace enters our lives, sustaining us no matter what storms may arise. Through prayer, we learn the power of surrender, laying down the burdens we were never meant to carry, and trusting God to give us strength in return. Life often weighs heavily on our shoulders, with worries about the future, pain from the past, and pressures of the present. When we try to handle these struggles on our own, we quickly feel overwhelmed. But when we bring them to God in prayer, something remarkable happens. We exchange our weakness for His strength and our fear for His peace. Prayer is not only about asking for solutions, but about releasing control, acknowledging that God's wisdom is greater than our own. In that moment of surrender, peace begins to fill our hearts, even before circumstances change. The very act of entrusting our concerns to God allows us to breathe easier, knowing that He is working behind the scenes. Strength rises within us, not because our problems disappear, but because our perspective shifts from focusing on the storm to trusting the one who calms it. This strength keeps us steady, and the peace we receive becomes a constant reminder that God's presence is more powerful than anything we face in life. Peace is not only something we long for in prayer, but also something we are called to live out each day. It is easy to ask God for peace, yet we must also allow that peace to guide our actions, words, and relationships. When true peace dwells in our hearts, it should naturally overflow into the way we treat others. Being a peacemaker means showing kindness when anger is expected, offering forgiveness when resentment seems easier, and choosing love even in difficult situations. This kind of peace requires humility, patience, and a willingness to put others above ourselves. It is not passive but active, seeking to build bridges instead of walls and healing rather than division. The world desperately needs people who not only pray for peace, but also live as examples of it, spreading light where there is darkness. Each act of compassion, every word spoken in gentleness, and every moment of self-control becomes a reflection of God's peace working within us. When we live as peacemakers, we become instruments of the very prayers we lift to heaven, carrying God's gift of peace into our families, communities, and the wider world that longs to experience it. Our actions play a vital role in reflecting the peace we so often pray for, because prayer without action remains incomplete. When we pray for peace but continue to live in conflict, bitterness, or selfishness, our prayers lose their strength. True peace begins in the heart, but it must extend outward through the choices we make every day. Small acts of kindness can soothe a hurting soul, and words spoken with gentleness can calm an angry spirit. Forgiving those who have wronged us allows peace to flow freely not only in our lives, but also in theirs. In this way, we become living answers to the prayers we lift before God. When the world looks at us and sees patience in the midst of trials, love in the face of hatred, and hope where there is despair, they witness the power of God's peace in action. Our lifestyle can inspire others to seek the same peace we have found, creating a ripple effect that reaches far beyond us. Therefore, every prayer for peace should be accompanied by a willingness to live it out, turning our faith into tangible actions that bring healing and harmony to those around us. God's peace is unlike anything this world can offer, for it is a divine gift that cannot be touched, stolen, or destroyed by earthly powers. The world's version of peace is fragile, dependent on circumstances, and often temporary, but the peace of God is eternal and steadfast. It is rooted in His unchanging nature, His promises, and His presence with us. No matter what storms arise, His peace remains like a strong fortress surrounding our hearts and minds. This is the kind of peace that cannot be shaken by war, loss, pain, or fear. It surpasses human understanding because it exists even when logic says it should not. When everything seems broken, God's peace holds us together. When the world fails to provide answers, His peace gives us the courage to keep moving forward. It is not something we can earn or achieve on our own, but a gift freely given to those who trust Him. To walk in this peace is to rest in the assurance that God is always in control. It reminds us that nothing in this world, no trial, no enemy, no power, can ever take away what He has placed within us. In conclusion, peace is more than a desire. It is a divine promise that God freely offers to all who trust Him. The world may give fleeting comfort, but only God provides a peace that is lasting, unshakable, and beyond understanding. Through prayer, we open our hearts to receive this gift, and through our actions, we become instruments of that peace in the lives of others. Let us remember that the peace of God is not something that can be taken away by fear, hardship, or even the darkest trials of life. It is a treasure that lives within us, anchoring our souls and guiding our steps. As we pray for peace, let us also live it, carrying its light into a world that longs for hope and healing. May our lives reflect the truth that God's peace endures forever, untouched by the troubles of this earth, and may it be a constant reminder that in Him we are safe, secure, and complete.